Welcome to the Fancy a Brew podcast. I'm Andy the Northern Diver. In this series I'll be discussing adventure, conservation and progression in scuba diving with some really interesting and inspirational divers that you might or not have heard of. The podcast is supported by Northern Diver International and you the listener through Patreon. So grab yourself a brew and enjoy this week's episode. Okay then, right, welcome Becca Dodds to the Fancy a Brew podcast. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Hi Andy, thank you. Yeah, good stuff. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. What brew are you
on? Obviously it's tea. Tetley, of course.
It's got to be. Somebody said Yorkshire tea the other day. Of course it's Yorkshire tea. Why is it of course? PG tips is the way.
No, Tetley is the way, Tetley. And also you've got to have it really, really weak. So you just have to like scare the water with the tea bag and then you're done.
Do you put your milk in before you water?
Yeah.
I probably do if I've just put the kettle like half full, so I'm waiting 10 minutes for it to boil, I'll go and put the milk in. But when people say, "Oh, you can't do that," why? It don't make any difference. It don't take any difference.
No, it's nothing worse than builder's tea.
No, but I don't want to look like fake tan, same colour as your kids.
Also, no need for sugar because we're sweet enough.
Oh, I don't know. That's probably my downfall. I've not found anything to substitute sugar other than I only have one, but I do have plenty of milk. But I can't go the whole hog and have none, or find something to reduce the calorific intake, which is. I was going to say as I'm approaching 40. I'm 41 in March. Obviously, belly weight is a bit of a nightmare at my age, isn't it? So I need to probably reduce the number of cups of tea I have.
Did you have a rough paper round?
I don't want to say fuck off, but go on. Right, tell us a little bit about why I've bothered getting you on. Rip me to shreds before we even started.
So obviously I'm Becca. I'm a business development manager for the Analox Group. So I've worked at Analox now for just over 8 years, and I absolutely love it. I've never stayed in a job this long because I get really bored, and if I start to get bored and I'm not learning new things, it's time for me to move on. Yeah. But with Analox, every single day is different. Like what we do is so diverse. The different people that I meet, I get to travel the world. Well, before COVID anyway. Yeah, that part of my job's not so great at the minute. But I just love it, and I'm a bit of a gas geek if I'm honest. It's just really interesting.
Cool. I've got to just mention, because obviously this goes out as a podcast, but you've done the stereotypical Zoom meeting thing. You've come with your bookcase prepped and nice and neat behind you.
Obviously.
Mine's kind of there.
It's full of all my branding books and copyright books and things like that. Obviously, I've got a gas-specific one as well. So, Element in the Room, all about science.
Okay, so not farts then, no.
No.
So is that your sort of field of expertise, gas, or is it just that's the job you found yourself in?
That's the job I found myself in. So I've always been in predominantly like sales and marketing type roles, and then I did all sorts of different things. I used to work as a chef at one point. Sorry, can you hear my dog barking?
I was going to say, has the postman turned up at your house?
I think so. I'm sorry about that. But but predominantly I've been in sales and marketing roles throughout my career, and I just kind of fell into gas analysis, and I love it. There's no looking back now. I can't ever imagine myself doing something else.
Oh, I kind of similarly fell into gas analysis through diving, and hence came across Analox Group probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I first started diving, and we were shown the different analyzers that are out there.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how expensive they are, because I don't really understand what the makeup of it is. Now, I should imagine the ones we use are very sort of low end in comparison to what there are out there. And certainly after we spoke the other day, I now know the other kind of things that Analox get involved in.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I bought one just purely a very low entry. As it stands now, it's very low entry. I don't think you even produce the same one, do you?
I think you've got the O2E2, haven't you? The
Yeah, so
nitrox
mine's
analyzer.
just a nitrox analyzer because that's the only gas that I
Yeah.
would need to analyze. And I'm using it more and more now because I've bought a rebreather and I've trained in that. So
Well,
I need to analyze both cylinders before I get in the water because one's pure O2 generally and one's just 21%. But I need to make sure they're both that and calibrate accordingly. So what can you tell me about my analyzer that I need to know in regards to calibrating it and then the sort of service schedule is that it requires?
Yeah, so the O2E2, so yours specifically, which is the older version, and the new version, the Pro, in terms of calibration, you should calibrate it every time you use it. And it's just a fresh air calibration, so you don't need to carry around any expensive calibration bottles or anything like that. You just need to make sure you're in a very fresh air environment. So there's quite a common mistake that people make is they'll wait until they're on the dive boat and they're trying to calibrate the units then. And all you're doing then is you're not getting fresh air because you might have the exhaust fumes from the boat engine and stuff like that. So you should always try and calibrate in like a really clean, fresh environment and always do it every single time you use your analyzer.
So if, let's just say, so I'm sat there in the breeze, there's
Mm-hmm.
obviously not in the middle of a car park or something, just
No.
normal fresh air that smells and tastes all right. Bring it down to 21%, use it. Do you know then when I go on to my second cylinder, can I just put it straight on, or is there a period in between that I should wait?
I would always recommend that you do it again. Just calibrate it again, just make sure, and then test it again with your other cylinder.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it just takes 10 seconds. It's not cumbersome to do.
No, I mean, I don't want to put you under pressure, and hopefully you can answer all questions. But
I'll do my
genuinely, I mean, whilst I do have an understanding, like I said, I bought mine second hand, and the pamphlet it came with was not really. I don't even think it was something that came with it originally. It was just a printout. So it's worth asking because obviously you probably know better than I do. So why not ask you while you're on?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can get copies of our manuals and data sheets and stuff on the website. But your sensor itself should last about 4 to 5 years as well. So it's like an electrochemical oxygen sensor. But yeah, just make sure you change it quite regularly and just watch out for the fakes that are on the market because there is quite a lot of fakes out there in terms of the oxygen sensors. So yeah, make sure you're buying a genuine one.
It's a better changeover period than every 12 months on my rebreather that there's 3 of them and I should carry a spur, so I'm buying 4 and I think they're about 80 quid a pop.
Nice.
So
it's an expensive sport, diving.
You're not flipping kidding, but then,
it is.
If you look at it in comparison to other sports, it's not that expensive. So if you got into motorsport, all my entire dive gear will last me for, at least 10 years as long as I maintain it. Whereas if you're into motorsport and you buy a car and crash it, well, it could be tens, if not hundreds of thousands a year, as opposed to just tens of thousands over 10 years. So it's only £1,000 a year if you look at it like that. Plus, but I suppose
you could just do what I do and join a netball team.
Well, that's funny you should say that. So what kind of diving do you like doing, Becca?
I knew you were going to ask me this. I hate you already. Your listeners are also all about to hate me.
You can't be building up a rapport and a good, strong friendship with your guests right at the beginning of the interview.
Awkward. No, I don't dive. I tried it once on a holiday in Cyprus. I think it was my 21st birthday actually, and I put all the kit on, put my breathing apparatus on, got under the water, and although the logical side of my brain knew I could breathe, the other part of my brain was going, "Get out! You can't breathe." And I just didn't enjoy it. And I suppose the more I learn about gas, the more terrified I get about doing stuff like that.
I know knowledge is a little bit much in it sometimes.
It is, yeah. There's too many. There's a lot of horror stories, which is why it's just really important for people to make sure they keep themselves safe.
How does the O2 analyzer actually work?
It's electrochemical technology, so it's basically just detecting the oxygen. So in the environment around us at the moment, it's well, in fact, I'm going to ask you, how much oxygen do you think is in the environment around you right now?
I said earlier, 21%.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's generally accepted it's 21%, isn't it? There or thereabouts.
Well, 20.9%. Yeah, so
plus
it's
or minus
detect.
0.1.
Yeah, so it's just detecting the oxygen in your cylinder or in the atmosphere when you're calibrating it, things like that. But yeah, it works on electrochemical technology, the one in that particular sensor.
So is it just one
Right.
sensor in each of them, isn't there?
In that particular one, yeah, in the O2E2 Pro, it's just one oxygen sensor.
Right. So tell us a bit more about Analox Group, because I think I've never come across another O2 sensor, another nitrox analyzer, or any other analyzers that are not from the Analox Group. So
that's good.
That there might be other ones out there that we don't obviously care about in this, but
no, obviously not. We do all sorts of different stuff. So obviously, like, we've been in the diving community since we started the business back in 1981. Like that is our roots, diving.
Yeah.
But we've obviously had to diversify over the years. So we've got quite a clear cut split within the company. So we've got our commercial division, and then we've got our military division. So within our commercial division, you've got obviously your likes of your diving, do laboratory monitoring, medical, green energy, agriculture. So I've been doing research recently about the effect of cow burps on the environment.
Wow.
Honestly, yeah, we've been designing this analyzer called the Livestock Venus Pro, and it basically you basically put your cow in like a chamber, and then you take the sample from the chamber, run it over the analyzer, and it'll tell you the methane, CO2, and oxygen content. And from that, they can then decide what different feeds to give the animals to reduce the greenhouse gases that are coming from them. Like, because one cow actually burps around 300 liters of methane every single week. Like, cows are the biggest contributor to global warming.
Wow.
Yeah. so yeah, we like, it's so diverse what we do. It's crazy. And then obviously in the military sector, we're predominantly known for our submarine atmosphere analyzers. We also do sub-escape systems. We do breathing air analyzers for damage control on frigates, which are like warships. So yeah, lots of different applications, lots of different industries.
Have you ever been on a submarine then? Do you ever get to go and have a look at where you're putting this stuff out?
So, some of the people do. I personally have never been on one, but I'm hoping I'm next on the list, to be honest.
Sounds like a pretty cool job. So what do you do? What do you go getting around the world doing? Spreading the word?
we go all over. I mean, we've got, obviously, our head office is here in the UK, so based in Stokesley. Then we've got a US office in California. But then we predominantly sell products through distribution channels. So when I first started with the company, my role was to expand our export business across Asia Pacific, Scandinavia, Brazil, those different types of places. So I used to go all over the place looking for new distributors, training distributors, going to conferences, exhibitions. But I think my favorite trip was probably to Tokyo. That was just such an amazing place. So we make an analyzer for one of our customers over there for pneumatic caisson work. So basically, they're just digging a really big hole in digging a really big hole in the ground. They were trying to link up the sewerage systems, basically. So we developed a monitor for them to monitor the environment down there in case there was going to be any explosions or anything like that.
They've been going for years then. They're called a yellow canary in a cage.
Oh, it's a bit old school then.
Push the boat out there developing that, haven't you?
You'll have the animal rights people after you if you start using canaries again. But no, it's like when I went to Tokyo, they took me to the Kaesong plant, and they actually let me dig part of the Tokyo sewage system. So that's my little claim to fame. It was brilliant.
So some of the other things you told me about, I know you can't mention names, but you're going a little bit outside of this world, aren't you?
We certainly are, yeah. So we've been working in the space sector since I think it's 2011, something like that. Obviously, a lot of those types of contracts, same as our military contracts, they're all under like non-disclosure agreements, or they're official, sensitive, those different types of things. But yeah, we've developed sensors to go into space on manned shuttle.
Yeah.
So it's things like oxygen, CO2, and temperature and humidity sensors. So obviously, that's probably one of the most challenging and hostile environments that we have to deal with, as well as deep sea diving.
Mm.
I mean, you've got up there, you've got excessive heat, lots of vibration, you've got radiation, all those different types of things. So yeah, we've been involved in quite major projects. So I don't know if did you watch the launch last May
I don't think I did,
over
no.
from the US? Oh, okay. Well, we were involved in that, which is
Okay.
about as much as I could say. But no, it's exciting. I think it was not last year, the year before. We had like an open day at Analox as part of a SAMAP conference, like a submarine community conference. But the challenges that people in the submarine community face are the same as the challenges people in the space industry face. So we had people from space industry and from the submarine community with us. Um, and it was probably one of the most daunting days of my career. And I had to stand up there and present our technology to all these big
Wow.
names in the space industry. And yeah, I was shaking like a leaf. I got to take them out afterwards as well for dinner. And
Yeah.
I was just absolutely fangirling all over them. Asked them if they'd let me be the first woman on Mars, but obviously they politely declined.
Funny you should say that. I had a bloke on last season, and he lives in Australia, in Victoria, I think it is, and he's one of like the last 100 on the selection list for Mars One. So he's like there's
Really?
two of them or four of them, I forget now, that are going out there on like a one-way mission. So he signed up. There's like thirty
Wow.
thousand of them, and he's got whittled down. He's in the like either last 100 or last 1,000. But
That's
I was like,
crazy.
it sounds ace, but actually, it's not like we're here for 1,000 years. We're only here for 100, really, at tops, aren't we? So, it is all right living here. It's not that bad, but I guess it depends what kind of a life you have and what kind of life you want to
Yeah.
lead. So each their own, but not for me. That
No, I don't think I'd like to do that, to be honest.
oh,
I
don't
mean,
mind
it
going up for
sounds
like a week.
exciting. Yeah. Just a bit of a holiday. I mean, I'd do anything at the minute to get out of sunny Teesside.
It's terrible staying in at minute, isn't it? It's
Oh,
just
it's
getting to
driving
the
me
point where it's
bonkers.
too much.
Yeah, so submarine monitoring, yeah, it's just as challenging as anything else. So obviously the deep sea pressures that they're under is quite intense, and obviously when you deploy a submarine, whatever air is on board is the air that they've got on board. They can't exactly just go up to the surface and bring in some fresh air, because 9 times out of 10 they're in enemy waters or waters where they shouldn't be doing
Mm.
some reconnaissance. So the air on board a submarine has to be recycled and cleaned on board the submarine. So they have things like CO and CO2 scrubbers, but then obviously analysis equipment as well. So there's lots of different hazardous gases on board. So you've got anything from just the CO2 increase from the submariner's respiration. You might then have a load of VOCs if they've been using cleaning products or they've been doing a bit of painting, bit of DIY.
As you do in
And then
enemy territory. Oh, I'm just going to touch this bit up here.
no, they do have to do maintenance when they're out there. So, and then obviously you might have CO from combustion from your engines or your cooking. So there's lots of
Yeah.
different gas in there. Even the refrigeration system uses a gas like R134A. So yeah, there's lots of different hazards, and it's really, really important that they're monitoring that environment so that they get early warning signs if something is wrong. So, for example, if they get an alarm that says your oxygen levels are too low, they can then implement their safety procedures, and they can light oxygen candles to enrich the atmosphere with more oxygen.
I saw them doing that
Yeah.
on that submarine film that was out recently. Do you remember that? I think it was it the Kursk, the Russian one that went
Oh
down about
God,
20
yeah.
years ago. Was it the Kursk?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it was the Kursk, the Russian one.
Yeah, and they were like sat above it, and we were there trying to help, and like, nah, it'll be really bad for our propaganda if you come and help us.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But they were like,
yeah. Well, we were involved in the Kursk rescue attempt.
Really?
We actually, honestly, we actually got a phone call saying, "Can you make one of your submarine escape rescue monitors?" So we've got a system called the Submark 2P, which basically it's like a decision-making tool to tell them if they can stay on the submarine or whether they need to try and attempt an evacuation. So we got a phone call saying, "Can you make us one of those and get us one?" Within 24 hours, we'd got one made for them. We sent it by motorcycle courier, and it got deployed over to where the submarine was. But unfortunately, well, you know the ending of the story.
Yeah. Let's not spoil the film in case anyone wants to watch it.
No, it's on Netflix. Other subscription platforms also exist.
Yeah, such a shame. Isn't it? So
I know it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So getting back onto diving, then, what kind of diving monitors do you do? Or analysers?
Yeah, we do all sorts of different things. So my favourite diving analyzer is the Hypergas. So that monitors inside a deep sea diving bell. So when the divers go down in the deep sea diving bell, they obviously go onto the seabed, they do their welding or maintenance, whatever it is that they're doing. And then when they go back into the dive bell, they tend to have like sea mud on their boot. And there was an incident in the North Sea in 2006, I think it was. So basically, they'd gone back into the diving bell. They had sea mud on their boot. The sea mud's full of hydrocarbons. So when they got back into the bell atmosphere, all these hydrocarbons started to off gas inside the diving bell. So hydrocarbons have almost like an anesthetic effect on the human body. So they started to get woozy. Then they knew they were trying to put their breathing apparatus on, and they couldn't fit it. Like, this is something that they've done thousands and thousands of times. And there's actually a video of it on the Analox YouTube if you want to go check it out. It's basically the diver just can't even put his own mask on. And the surface team are all trying to send them instructions on what to do, but they were just so overcome by this anesthesia effect that they couldn't. And the only reason they survived was because a third diver then came back into the bell. He could see something was wrong, so he left his helmet on, and he was able to help them fit their breathing apparatus. Yeah, so we designed a hydrocarbon monitor that goes inside the bell, purely off the back of that incident. So that's actually now mandated by the OGP, the oil and gas producers. So anyone who dives for the likes of Shell, Total, BP, Chevron, all those people, if they're using a diving bell, they have to have one of our hypergas units fitted.
Yeah, that's there, aren't they?
Yeah, they were lucky.
Yeah, I'm on your website. So I'm on your YouTube now. Do you know what it was called?
Yeah. If you type in Analox Hypergas.
Is it a live video from that? Is it like a live feed?
There is footage of it.
Have a look now, seriously. Just Google, go on YouTube and put in Analox Hypergas, 3 words, third one up, it's me.
No, really?
Well, that's what's come up on mine, so you have a look, see if you get the same.
Analox Hypergas. Let me check.
3 words, I'll put it as 3.
Oh, no, I've got different too.
Oh, got it.
Oh no, it's different on mine.
That's weird. Why would I get a different search thing than you?
That's so bizarre. That's really bizarre.
It's got obviously my analyzer as the picture. It just says analyze your gas in blue and white. Does it even come up on your page? You're on YouTube here, aren't you? Not Google.
No. I am on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
no. I've got it. So you're like about halfway down the page.
Devastated.
I can see you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Alexa, switch the heating to off. It's flipping boiling in here.
That's because you sat there with a hot water bottle.
Hot water bottle on, hoodie, hood.
Hoodie,
Not listening.
hat. Got me hoodie,
Alexa,
got me hat, got me hot water bottle.
switch the heating to off. Come on, woman. Yes, it's off now. Honestly, it's about a zillion degrees in here now. Sun's just moved around the back of our house. So it's streaming through here as well. Right, so what other stuff did they do in regards to the diving industry?
So in terms of filling the cylinders, we do a product called the ACG Plus, which basically will continuously monitor the quality of the air that's coming out of the compressor before it goes into the cylinder. Right. So obviously there is legislation around this. So in Europe, for example, it's the EN 12021. Over in the US, it's covered by the OSHA regulations. So when people are compressing the air, lots of different contaminants can make it into the cylinders. So it might be that the inlet of your compressor was actually sucking in exhaust fumes. That could be from a car that was outside or a boat that was outside, and it could suck in those exhaust fumes, and you could be filling your cylinders with carbon monoxide and not even realize. Also, the compressors themselves, if they're using a lubricant inside the compressor, if that overheats, then that's going to start to combust as well, giving you excessive CO. If your filters need changing, you might get glugs of water or glugs of oil coming through. So we make a continual monitor that's always checking the quality of the air before it goes into the cylinder. So it's checking O2, CO2, CO, VOCs, and the dew point. CO is probably the most common threat and probably the biggest threat to divers, I think. There's been so many incidents. There was one over in New Zealand where there was a diver had gone out. I think he was doing like a crayfish dive, and he was only supposed to be gone like 15, 20 minutes or something, and he went missing. So obviously the police went out to try and look for him, and they found him, took him back, analysed all of his equipment. All of his equipment was working fine. Analysed his tanks, and his tanks had over 13,000 ppm of carbon monoxide in them. I mean, just to give that a bit of context, our analyzer starts alarming at 5 parts per million. Jeez. And this guy had over 13,000.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crackers. We're actually starting a campaign to try and get the legislation changed in that respect, because at the moment, although the legislation exists, the legislation only calls for spot checking. So a dive shop, a fire station, any places like that, they only actually have to check the quality of their air every 3 months. So it's just quarterly spot checks. Yeah. And what tends to happen is your compressor servicer will come along, he'll change your filters, he'll clean the compressor up a little bit, then he'll do a spot check. So all that's telling you is that the air right on that moment after you've just had it cleaned and serviced is clean. I mean, it doesn't tell you anything. So there's different analyzers out there that you can have continual monitoring, and it's the only way to guarantee safety for the divers, for the firefighters, for the police divers, all those different types of people. So yeah, we're actually starting to pull together like a consortium of people. So we're working with some of the compressor manufacturers, because even the compressor manufacturers themselves say you really should be continually monitoring. So yeah, we're speaking with some end users as well, and we're trying to get them involved. And yeah, we're going to try and get the legislation changed so that it's continual monitoring. Yeah, if any of your listeners would like to get involved, so if you've got any end users that have got any stories about contaminated gas, or you're just interested and want to get involved, we'd love to have you on the team. Yeah, just get in touch with us.
Yeah, what kind of involvement would you need or require?
I think it's mostly testimonials, and it's your message is always powerful when you've got more people involved in it, and especially when you've got a mixture of different people from different industries, so that I mean, the breathing air, we're a breathing air community and we're a diving community. We should all be sticking together and making sure that the safety is where it should be. So I just think that the message is going to get across much more powerful if we've got that conglomerate of people from all different sectors and different areas, and like even people from across different countries. Like the more people we can get involved, the better.
Certainly, as a diver, one of the tests that we do without analysing the gas, which only tells you the amount of oxygen, doesn't tell you anything else, does it?
Yeah.
For me,
no.
We were always taught it smells good and it tastes good, and then you move on. You know, so as you're running through your buddy checks, you go, yeah, smells good. So you purge a little bit in. Doesn't smell of anything, so it smells good. Tastes, as in you take a breath. Does it take a few breaths? Does it taste of anything? No, it doesn't. But you can't taste a lot of the stuff, can you?
No, can you smell it?
No, can you smell it?
Yeah.
So maybe if there's a bit of oil in there, or if there's a bit of moisture in there, maybe
certain things you might be able to. Yeah.
But certainly,
if you've got carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, you're not going to know.
No.
Yeah.
So for us as an end user, there's a lot of trust going into those that are filling our cylinders up. That you're going to get a fill because you pay so much. I think it's like a £5 a fill now.
Yeah, definitely.
But you never get it full, so it's not really a fill. £5 for half a fill.
Yeah.
But then they're actually doing what they should be, and that what you get is going to be safe. And I've no way of really testing that, have I? Unless you spend. I mean, is there a unit out there that I could buy, regardless of cost, that I could plug my cylinder in and go, that's safe for you?
Yeah, I mean, there will be. So we actually used to make a little portable carbon monoxide monitor. It was just exactly like your O2E2 that you've got. It was called the E2CO. And it worked in exactly the same way. You just put it against your cylinder, tested it that way. But nobody was buying them. So we made it obsolete because people just weren't buying them. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are other companies out there that'll make something similar. And then another product that we make is like a trimix analyzer. So that'll test at a pro. So that'll test your oxygen, your helium content, and it then assumes the balance is nitrogen basically.
So I've seen that. It's a tidy little unit as well in a little pelly case kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you've got any of them knocking around, I don't need one, but I like
All right. I'll see what I could do.
Yes. I'll cut that out because I don't want anyone to know that you did or you didn't. Joking aside. You've been in the business for 40 years and if you started off as if the company started off as a diving related company, you've come quite far from going quite an obvious route into the marine industry and commercial, underwater sort of commercial stuff. But to get into sort of space industries, while you say it's quite similar, it's a world apart. No pun intended.
It's still all gas though, I think. That's what we do. We provide gas sensing solutions. So, I mean, we're up for any challenge that anyone throws at us. We'll get involved in most projects if we think we can add value to it, and we find it challenging, and no one else can do it. That's where we thrive. Really, that's the type of work we want to be doing. It's just so interesting. But I mean, we even do things for like your local burger joint.
Really?
Yeah. So like all your local pubs where they're carbonating the beers and the lagers and stuff, and your Coca-Colas, your fast food restaurants. We supply all those with carbon dioxide monitors. So we're one of two global suppliers to the biggest fast food chain in the world.
Wow.
So
that's nuts. I think when we spoke last week, you told me about a load of dramas now with COVID and the vaccine being sort of ferried around. And which one is it now? It's not the AstraZeneca one, is it? It's the Pfizer.
The Pfizer.
Kept at like super chilled. But there's some quite big dramas that you're getting involved with. with that, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so obviously the Pfizer vaccine has to be maintained at super low temperatures. I think it's minus 78 degrees. And the only way that they can obtain that is by using dry ice. So dry ice is basically just a solid form of carbon dioxide, which has just been compressed. So they'll pack the vaccine with the dry ice. Now, they can't actually seal the containers because otherwise they're going to have an explosion. So because because the containers can't be sealed, and then the dry ice starts to warm, the dry ice goes through a process called sublimation, which is basically where it goes from a solid form straight into a gas. So it bypasses the liquid state. So this gas is then off-gassing into whatever area it is. So it might be a distribution warehouse, it might be the back of a courier truck, it might be on an aeroplane, might be actually inside the hospitals themselves or the vaccine distribution centres. So yeah, we've been getting involved in supplying CO2 safety monitors to all those different types of places. In particular, aviation for us has gone through the roof. So obviously a lot of the vaccine is being transported by air. And we're working with people like Delta Airlines over in the US. So we've just recently supplied their ground crew with a portable CO2 monitor called the CO2 Buddy. Right. So as their ground crew are obviously taking it from the warehouse, transporting it over to the plane, and then loading it into the cargo hold. So the only way to keep those guys safe and make sure they're not exposed to too much CO2 is for them to have a CO2 safety monitor. Right.
Recording back on.
Yeah.
Right, so are you launching any products soon? Is anything like new on the cusp of coming out that perhaps isn't under a non-disclosure you can talk about?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we're in the process of developing a product called the Air Quality Guardian in response to COVID, basically. So there's guidance in the legislation now that states that in places like schools, hospitals, gyms, yoga studios, anywhere like that they should be monitoring the CO2 levels. So that'll actually give you an indication of the quality of your ventilation. So if your CO2 monitor goes off, you need to ventilate the room and the classroom or whatever it is. Yeah. Now, some people might say, well, why wouldn't you just always have the windows and doors open? But when you're in the UK and you've got kids in a school classroom, you don't want the windows and the doors open. No. You just want to be able to keep them safe when you need to be able to keep them safe. So this Air Quality Guardian will tell you when you need to ventilate that room, when you need to open the windows, or when you need to turn up your HVAC system, those different types of things. It also monitors like the temperature and relative humidity in the classrooms as well. But yeah, it's a good indicator of how well your ventilation system's working and when you need to ventilate the room.
Obviously, that's a big deal, isn't it, with people spreading it, being airborne. You want some mass ventilation, especially if there's 30, 35 people sat in a room. It's going to be needed quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it helps with productivity as well. So if you've ever been in a meeting room and you sat there, I mean, I know sometimes it's just a boring meeting, but like everyone starts to just feel a little bit tired.
Death by PowerPoint. Yeah, I know exactly what you're on about.
It's actually it's the CO2 from your respiration that's making you feel tired. So as well as helping protect against COVID and helping those different types of things, it's helping with productivity, and it'll let the students have reduced fatigue and those different types of things. So
it doesn't need to just be the window being wide open, blowing freezing cold air in. It could just be having your heating, ventilation, air conditioning all running through, and just changing the air.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a tool for you to use to tell you when you need to ventilate that room. That's all it does. It's really, really simple bit of kit.
Yeah. Would you say it's fair to say then, when I'm struggling in my office here and I'm editing something for YouTube and I'm sat here all day, but I've got my door closed, I've got my window shut, I'm drinking brews and I'm chatting to you, it's all increased CO2, isn't it? So while I'm struggling like that, I probably just need to
some fresh air.
Just have a bit of flow. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing, like it'll cost you a fortune if in your heating bill if you've got the windows and doors open all the time. So
I know.
yeah, we need
But
to get you an air quality guardian.
yeah. Well, if you want to send us one just to try it, you wanted some R&D support.
Get
I'm
a bit
all
of
over it.
feedback.
Here's some feedback for you on my analyzer, and I think we discussed this in the past. Is that the orifice on my dive cylinder is what I believe is known as an M25. Someone will come on and go, actually, it's UN something, and I'm like, I don't care. People talk about it as M25 and M26, but
right.
the little bulb on the bulb's probably the wrong word. The little
your dome adapter
fits nice and neatly on the M25, but when I go and put it on the M26, it disappears inside there and doesn't create an airtight seal. So when I go to test the gas, I get a reading of 107% when it should be 100, or slightly, plus or minus a little bit, but not 107. So
Do you know what the solution to that is?
Yeah. Sadly, I do.
Only use M25s.
The problem with that is there's lots of problems with it. But you can buy.
Do you use a BCD?
No, not really. I use a wing.
Okay. Right.
But so you can buy an M25, M26 adapter, so it screws in and reduces it down, so you can do that. But obviously, a very quick and easy fix would be take one dome adapter off and put another one on.
Put another one on.
It fits perfect. And I should imagine I'm probably not the only person that's in that sort of.
I'll feed that back.
Yeah.
It's good to know. It's good to know.
And I believe I'll have to check this before I put it out, because if I don't, I'll just sound like enough. But I believe it's like a European standard to have M26 on nitrox-filled or oxygen-filled cylinders. That way, there's a clear definitive between the two, because you'd have some stuff that's O2 clean and perhaps stuff that's not. So you don't want to put an M25 on something that's not been O2 cleaned, the regulators that is, onto pure oxygen, because obviously there could be hydrocarbons on there and perhaps older O-rings and stuff which don't, they will combust. So it would make more sense for you to only supply an M26 and then the M25 dome adapter be, something like a surplus that you could buy. I reckon nobody checks their 21% unless
they really should. They really should.
I don't doubt, but I do on my rebrew.
I mean, just for my own sanity, please tell everyone they must.
That you can sleep at night.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say Brexit and COVID have been equally good and bad for you in that as a business?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're quite lucky because we're so diverse. I mean, if we were just in the food and beverage industry, for example, we'd be really struggling. And I really feel for people who are working in that type of industry at the moment. It must be heartbreaking for them. But I think we're quite lucky, and we realise how lucky we are because we've got such a diverse customer base. So where our food and beverage markets have declined, we've also seen increases in where we provide medical gas monitoring and COVID response products, those different types of things. So it's sort of balancing itself out, thankfully. We've been quite lucky. We've been able to keep all of our team so far, which is fantastic. And they've all done such a good job. I mean, they've all adapted really, really well and really quickly to what's gone on. I mean, we've implemented like a split shift system so that we can reduce cross contamination. So we've got some guys doing like a 6 till 2, then a 2:30 till 10. Then anyone who can work from home, who's not in like the production or operational part of the business, they're all working from home. And everyone's just adapted to it really well. I mean, we've actually been given critical business status because of our military contracts. So what securing our supply to the Navy is a matter of national security. So all of our team are all actually classed as key workers now.
That's good, isn't it? Is all your production in the UK then?
Yeah. everything's produced and manufactured here. Our chairman's from Stokesley originally, and he started the company from his shed in his back garden.
No way.
And honestly, isn't that where all great companies start? But and he's a big advocate for British manufacturing and supporting local businesses and supporting local jobs, and he's always wanted to keep it local. Everything we do is in terms of our productionisation and all of our R&D team, we're all based in Stokesley in North Yorkshire.
Was he a diver?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Or is he still a diver? If he was?
I don't think he still is, but I think he was diving at some point in his career.
Is that why he started the business, you think, or do you know?
I'm not sure actually. I know I think he started it when he was importing oxygen sensors from the US. I think that's how he started, and then the exchange rate made that quite expensive and quite difficult. And he is a chemist. He's like got a chemistry background, and he started manufacturing his own in his shed.
As you do.
As you do. Who doesn't?
I can just see him now going rooting through his wife's Tupperware cupboard, breaking up a couple of old watches and calculators and getting stuff together. I'm going, I've made one.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's an absolute legend.
It's good that he's still involved. He's really years in it.
Oh yeah, he's really down to earth. I mean, he's semi-retired. We normally only see him at like board meetings and things like that now. But and he loves the Christmas party.
I bet he does.
Yeah, he loves a party.
I think we all do, and no matter, even if you didn't, you're going to, and when we're eventually allowed to.
Some proper I know. I can't wait. A holiday. I really want a holiday as well. Like I'm used to going away quite a lot, so I feel like I've got severe cabin fever at the minute. I'm just in this house all the time because I'm working from home, and then we're in lockdown. I just feel like I'm just in this house all of the time. It's driving me bonkers.
Finding myself busy at home. I'm just building a website at the minute and doing plenty of these podcasts, which only go out once a week. So I've probably done about, what are you now? About 17. I've got quite a lot to do, but I can't be asked going to work. I just want to go diving somewhere. We joked about this the other day. I want to be like one of the last to still have not caught it. I'm gonna. Yeah. I will not catch that flipping virus. I can tell you now. I'm gonna do.
I'm pretty sure I'm immune. I think I'm immune to it. I really do, because I'm the type of person that if there's going to be a deadly disease or virus flying around, I would be the first one to get it normally. And the fact that I haven't had it yet, I think I must have some sort of immunity because I'm so unlucky with stuff like that normally.
It'd be all right if they could test you, and they were willing to. I'm sure they can. To say you had it, you know, they were doing these antibody tests, but nobody really knows how long they last. So if me and you had it last March, we might not have any antibodies to them now. So you'd never know.
No,
but
I did actually get selected for the antibody test. I think it was like September time last year or something, and it came back as I didn't have them then.
No, I heard they were paying good money to try that vaccine, about $3,000. So I put my name down for that, and then it got released the next day. I was like, I got on that bandwagon a little bit later.
What were you going to spend it on? More dive kit?
No, Analox 80.
Analox analysers. You could buy a few at a pros for that.
Sorry, at a pro. I keep calling it ATA because
at a pro.
Yeah, at a pro. But yeah, so thanks for coming on, mate. It's been quite interesting actually to find out a little bit more about what you do. So
thanks for having me.
I know you were kind of building up to it all week, going, "Oh, canal, it's coming."
Yeah. Well, I've never done a podcast before. I was just a bit nervous, I think.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the fact that you showed up in your pajamas put me right at ease.
You knob, you weren't supposed to say. Right, get off. Thanks for coming. See you later.
Cheers. I'll see you soon. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks very much to this week's guest for sharing their stories and interesting tales about the underwater world. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did recording it. For more information on this episode, take a look at the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and follow us on Instagram for the latest news. Thanks again to Northern Diver International and those of you who have supported me through Patreon. Take care, and I'll see you on YouTube.